Should be fine.
Keep it here.
Mr. Ravindra, IAS, retired now. He was the commissioner of the city of Bangalore, of the then BMP, not BBMP. He was the commissioner, and later he went on to become the chief secretary. And today he is the advisor to the chief minister. I won't say he gives the best of advices. Like all these babus, when they're in the government service, they don't do much. When they come out, they start preaching all kinds of things. But even today, he preaches a lot, but not of much consequence. He is supposed to be clean, but I know not very effective in getting across to the government to do the things the right way. Okay, that's it. So when he was the commissioner of the city, BBMP, at that time I convened a meeting of the Resident Welfare Associations Pan Bangalore at the Rotary House level road. And because we used to go to the commissioner with all kinds of our problems, on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays in the afternoons. Actually, you can walk into the commissioner's office, that is the meeting hour. We used to find, similar RWA groups, coming over, and the problems were largely common. So by then I had been around these circles and I knew quite a few people. So through an organization called Civic, perhaps you have heard, we organized a meeting in Pan Bangalore, and I convened that meeting, chaired that meeting with all these BBMP officers and the entire Pan Bangalore Resident Welfare Associations, fielding the questions, and I moderating the show. So that's the background. And then, right from my school days, I used to be a letters to editor writer. And then when blogging started, that was the next thing to do. Got onto blogging. I started a personal blog, muralidharrao.blogspot.com. Now, and when I moved into where I am currently, Mantri Classic, in ST Bed Layout, Koramangala. Mantri has got, tainted with all kinds of activities, but I won't blame Mantri for many of the things that goes on. I blame the government. Mantri is a good builder. I am staying in one of the Mantris. Likewise, I would say Confident is also a fairly good builder. I can see the quality is not too bad. In fact, good. I don't know, your experiences will tell me. Yes, there are minor issues, but those can be corrected, absolutely. But the problem is largely with the government. The government doesn't, the norms and this thing, bylaws and all these things, they don't write it up properly, and deliberately so. And because of that, there are many in the builder lobby who want to use that and then, make money. Yeah. Making money is okay, but make undue, profiteering rather than profit making. So that is where the problem is. So, and the government facilitates that. The problem again stems from, the elections issues.
Surely, in our country, the law is not that much mature, and there are loopholes in law, starting from criminal law to
absolutely. And these people, and the unscrupulous elements, exploit that way. That's the issue.
So let us say in the law front, for a residential society.
Yeah.
Okay. So, to have a
no, I feel some basics about these things I'll tell you. Now, where I am currently living, Mantri Classic. The first 3 years I was the president of the association. Now, when you buy a property or something like that, you don't go into the legalities, etc. You first take a look at it, the model flat and things, so that's fine. And you get to get some lawyer to look at the documents, etc. Looks fine, everything's fine. Okay, done. Even the lawyers are not exactly aware of many of the things. So now once we bought we paid the advance, and there were a few this thing got in touch with each other, and then we started a Yahoo group, and we started exchanging notes, and that is how the association got formed. Now Mantri went about forming the association in the proper way. Now there is the resident welfare. Now there is Karnataka Apartment Ownership Act. Okay. That is the act which pertains to high-rise buildings. because that is the one which gives you the title to your property. Your property is not your flat. Okay, that's up to there. Now, God forbid, there is like in Ahmedabad, when the earthquake happened, okay, their property got damaged. I mean, got raised to the ground. And then, it had to be rebuilt. At that time, what is it that you have as your entitlement? That is your undivided share of land. So if you have 1 acre property or something like that on which this is built, your undivided share of that property is your property in such an event. Always that is the case in such an event. Now that is exactly what you are entitled to. And if you all join together, get some funding and decide to build again, your entitlement will be based on this value or the property that you have. That is your entitlement. So that is covered. That aspect of it is covered in the Apartment Ownership Act and no other act.
1972 one.
Pardon?
This is 1972 one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It is there in our Praja blog. The entire details are there. And now the another act. Okay. It is
60. Society.
no. Society is another act enjoins the builder to subject the complex.
Ownership Act.
Yes, Ownership Act, which enjoins on the developer to submit the complex that he is developing to the Apartment Ownership Act. So that is the thing which makes it mandatory for the builder, for the developer, to if there's a high-rise flat complex, he has to abide by that and then subject the complex to the Apartment Ownership Act. So these are the two linked, okay? And now there is some lacuna in the Apartment Ownership Act. Now Mantri did it correctly, okay? What they did is there is a deed of declaration. Now that deed of declaration is a document which lists the number of flats, the owners, and your SBA, super built-up area, and the undivided share of land. Now, if it is a 1 acre property, and if there are say 25 flats or something like that, and if it is all are equal flats, then you get 1 acre divided by 25, that is your entitlement.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it is varying, it will be according to the varying basis. So that is all listed there, and also the number of votes. Okay, normally in monthly classic, they have provided us 2 votes per flat. Okay, now if it is 2 votes per flat. Okay, that is what. So that's also a very important thing, because when you take these kinds of decisions, and the deed of declaration also gives you the bylaws, okay, for the association. Now, some aspects of the bylaws, if you want to make any amendments, you will have to have 100% compliance with all the owners. Okay, that is where the number of votes is important. And when there are some certain issues, you have to have 66 and 2/3 majority. And for that, the number of votes is very, very critical for that. Okay, all these come into play. Okay, and I think I made a mistake. It is 1 vote per flat in our district, irrespective of the size of the flat. Now there again, we have to very the ownership. This can be challenged in the bylaws. It will be the same. Now, if the ownership, if the khata is not made out both in the husband name, their husband and wife's name. Now, in whose name it is, only he can vote. Now, these aspects you can change in the bylaws. Okay, these aspects you need a simple majority to change. But there are certain things which you cannot change. Okay, that will be stipulated. And some of these things which cannot be changed. For instance, Mantri said you should always allow us to put your logo on top of it, that you cannot be. Okay, we don't want to fight that out. Okay, there are some aspects of it which are not necessarily acceptable, which can be challenged. If it is that big an issue, you can always challenge it. And the court will go by the merits of the case and possibly throw it out, even if it is provided in the thing. And there is nothing to sacrosanct about these kinds of issues. But there are certain things which are very sacrosanct, and it should be the same. That will be, you will find that reflected in the Act itself. These bylaws are based on the Act. So if it conforms to the Act improperly, there should not be any problem. If it does not conform to the same, you can always get it amended by simple majority.
I'll just summarize
Yeah.
what you said. You mean we can customize the bylaws within the parameters of the
Act. Yes.
But
Yes.
with a full consent of everyone.
Of everyone. It has
In certain aspects, full consent, certain just majority, certain two-third majority. That is okay. That is it. Okay.
So who defines certain?
That again, you have to go into the Act. Okay. You have to go into the Act. There are certain things which are you have to go into the details, fine print of that. And so now Societies Act. Okay. Societies Act, it actually does not pertain to multi-story apartment complexes. So if you go into the Societies Act, I don't know if you have read through the society, you will find that it is largely for charitable activities, all those kinds of things, promoting various sports, those kinds of things. Okay, it has nothing to do with apartment ownership. In fact, our organization, Praja, I wanted to actually tell you a little bit of, I was telling you about writing letters to editors and blogs and things like that. And later, when I started my blog, and then later how I went on to, today I'm one of the founder members of this blog group called Praja.in. Okay. We are about 8,000 strong. Largely the techies of Bangalore, I expect many of you are. Okay, we discuss largely all the civic issues and come up with solutions and put it all there. And at any given time, some 10 to 15% of the bloggers on Praja.in are resident across the world. So the best practices from there, they put it all here. And for any of the babus, if they want to take any tips from this, it's all there. Now, for instance, talking about lane discipline on the roads, etc., which our additional traffic commissioner, Mr. Salim, Dr. Salim, he talks about lane discipline on the roads and things like that. Immediately, one of his members who is resident in London, he travels on the red bus. As the bus moves, he sits with the video camera, films it as it puts it on YouTube and plants it on Twitter. So now, if Salim, when we want to discuss etc., just click on that. There it is all how you want to mark the lanes and things like that. So those kinds of things. So likewise, you will see across the board. This is about traffic. There is about bus services. There is about water supply. There is about power supply. Everything is discussed. Mr. Manivanan, MD of Westcom, is openly blogging on Praja. He has given us the ultimate goal of making Praja.in as the platform for debates of the upper house of the city. Now, you have the lower house, that is the elected body, that is the corporation. Well, you are outside the corporation, that's not corporation. Now, you have 195 wards in Bangalore. Okay, you have elections to that. You have the corporators, that is the BBM. Okay, 195, you are the mayor and things like that. Now, they are elected, so they are the powerful body which decides many of the things. Unfortunately,
So you have formed an association of that Praja and kind of.
Yeah, now, okay, Praja is a blog group. Okay, so anybody can put their comments. It is moderated. If it is moderated to only the extent that if it is some, objectionable material, etc., some of us have the powers to rectify it. But otherwise, anything can be discussed. And Praja has no opinion of its own. It's all everything. Now, if many of the things that we discuss, we decide on a certain course of action and we want to further that, we take it up to another organization called Praja Research Analysis Advocacy Group. Okay, that's what. And of that, I am the president, and that we are registering as a society. Okay, so now that is now we are in the process of doing that. Okay. Once earlier we attempted doing it. They wanted all the documents in Kannada. I challenged this under the Right to Information Act. Okay, and it went to the Information Commission. There was a discussion, and finally the Registrar of Society said he will accept it if the documents, if the what is the main document called? Some memorandum or something like that. There is some specific name for it. Now, clause by clause, para by para. I first put in English, then the translation in Kannada. Okay, he wanted everything in Kannada. Essentially, this is to collect his bribe. Okay, there is a government order which says that all the government these things, you should promote Kannada. Okay, there are no issues with that. But when documents like this now in any society, in fact, there is one case. There is a gentleman in Gormala who wrote to me, and I put this on the blog and put it there. He says, in fact, he wanted to register a society in which there were some foreigners. There is no missing against their being on the societies in India. Okay, there is no, they were residents or something. This is an academic society. He wanted to register in Bangalore. Now these foreigners, they have no Kannada. Okay, now when the document came and his name was there, and he said, but I don't understand any of these things. How can I accept it? Now, this is a document, many of these things if there is a dispute, ultimately it will go by what is it, the document. Now, he said, no, I cannot accept it because I don't know what this is. Now, you give me a translation of this. That's not good enough. I want the original because when it goes to court, the matter will be referred to the original document. What is the original document? So, you have the original document in English, you can have your this in Kannada, fine. But I want the original decision, otherwise I am not joining the society. Now, these are the issues which I took it up and see. Finally, they agreed, okay, clause by clause. First, I said first Kannada, then English. I said no, English first, Kannada. We left it at that, but again, we are not going. I took it up. This man is not insisting on Kannada, he is saying okay by English. Also, which shows very clearly that if the law doesn't provide for it, okay, you can have to do this. So now we are registering as a society. So that is the society. The relevance of the society is for these kinds of organizations and not for apartment complexes. Now, but the one lacuna in the Apartment Ownership Act, which you go to any lawyer, they will tell you must register as an Societies Act. Now, the problem there, as I understand, now which I have sought clarification from many lawyers, but nobody has told me very clearly what the problem is. Largely, as I understand it, is now the deed of declaration you have to register with the sub-registrar. I don't know why he is called sub, so there must be some registrar there above him. Now, whatever it is, in Coromandel, there is, we all went with our, we are given one set of documents which has the deed of declaration, then as the bylaws, the rules and regulations, etc., and also our CE. Okay? Yes, all these are there. Now, this is registered with the sub-registrar. Now, after that is done, the memorandum of the declaration, the deed of declaration, this, after it is signed by all the 100%, say the owners or something, has to be registered with somebody called the appropriate authority. Not appropriate, what is it? One word for it. There is competent authority. Okay, under you will find it in a competent authority. Now, in the Apartment Ownership Act, the competent authority has been named as the Registrar of Cooperatives. Now, you go to the Registrar of Cooperatives with your document to register, he will say, no, thank you, I don't have powers. Now, because of that, apparently that is the lacuna. Now, we, again, another friend of mine, again, an RBI activist, took up this issue. Government dilly-dallied and say each of the departments said this does not come under our basic purview. Somebody said no. So finally, basic under Right to Information Act. It went to the Information Commission. The process is very slow. And finally, the Information Commission already called all these people. Finally, they decided that between them, they sat together and decided it should be under the Urban Development Department. So finally, the Urban Development took on the onus of the ownership of these acts, of making any changes in this act and things like that, whatever it is. Now, then the question, then we went back to them and said, okay, now that you are the owner of this act, there is this lacuna now, don't you, please, can you make the necessary changes or empower this competent authority? Okay, otherwise he is saying no. Finally, in Matrikla said what we did was, when I was the president, we quietly did this, sent it under registered post, got an acknowledgement. He didn't know what to do with it, he is keeping it. As far as we are concerned, we have filed it. Okay. So, if we go to any court or things like that, we haven't taken up any cases against anybody. If it comes to it, then possibly this may be of use to us. Now, that matter, we took it up with the government, Urban Development Department. Now, it has gone on for a number of years. I met the Minister, Mr. Suresh Kumar, on this issue also. Now, to explain to him, for him to understand all these things, finally, he put me on to his principal secretary, and one case worker. He was very knowledgeable about all these things. Now, what they are all saying is now New Delhi is coming up with a fresh draft, okay, on all these issues. And we are waiting for that. Now, okay, that come, in the meanwhile, you empower this chapter, there are buildings proliferating all over Bangalore, and they are today at a loss as to what to do. And because of this lack, there are many of the parties registering under the Societies Act, which is not the correct thing. So, they have not done it. And I think last week's paper, there was a thing that that Delhi Model Act is being presented before the budget session in Parliament. And once it is approved, that can become the norm for the thing, in which case we will pressurize the Karnataka government, if one exists at that time, I don't know, to redraft the Apartment Ownership Act, providing for the updating of all these kinds of things. Then it will possibly have better teeth, and possibly all the builders can be pressurized into conforming to the requirements of these acts. So that is where things are now. You ask me.
Like, as a continuation of this, what kind of like issues you kind of deal with in your association?
Oh, really?
Okay.
Like,
but still, some of them worth mentioning.
Like I mean,
which we can
okay,
take
I'll
protection.
tell you, like in case of Mantli itself, and we are, it's already 7 years now. Okay. So 7 years back, there are many things which are, I would like a glass of water. Yeah.
I just told you.
Those are typically issues which, for instance, you would have liked a different set of piping for the toilet and a different set of piping for the other purposes. That is not there. Then today, those kinds of complexes require this sewage treatment plant, which we don't have. But we are in the BBMP area. There is a sewage line running, so we can let it off into the thing. We are complying with that, so there is no problem there. Now, one thing that he has done, a loophole which he has. You see, now you build a okay, then at the end of it, after we had all moved in and we had all, there were on the ground floor certain flats, 8 flats, which were, it's a doubtful thing. It was supposed to be parking area. Now, okay, it was supposed to be parking area. Now that parking area, he built it into apartments. Okay, 8 apartments are there. Now, see, none of us wants parking area. Now, all our parking is in the basement. That's very convenient for us because on the ground, we have the full space for children to run around. And today is a sports day, and you can see the tamasha there. We're all very happy with it. We don't want the cars on the surface. Okay, so, but these were originally marked in the sanction plan as car parks. Okay. Now, instead of car parks, he went and built apartments. Now, you see, as a president of the association to begin with, everybody said, there's a violation. Okay, he has made you. Okay, but none of us wants the car parks there, right? No, so many other things, those who came, it was first served basis. Those who came first, they wanted 2 car parks, all of them got it. Now, people who came towards them didn't get 2 car parks, they got only 1 car park. Now, those were apparently had 2 car parks, and because of which that's started saying, no, these are meant to be car parks. But in the open discussion, when we talked, brought up this issue, do you want the car parks? And they had to keep silent. So all those people who are having extra cars, etc., don't have this car parking on the road somewhere. Okay. So that will be, they can't bring it up to the association. Now everybody is satisfied with the fact that that it is very open space only. These flats are there. Now that is where we are saying that should association says those flats, if at all there, now we don't want it demolished. Okay, but it is illegal. So okay, we compromise. Now that is where it is. I told at that time itself, let us compromise. We talk to them and get some value out of it. Now they were prepared to update many things. Okay. Rainwater harvesting and various kinds of things, that they had said. They had offered a package, something like close to 1 crore at that time, a princely sum at that time. And they said they will, no, it's okay, no. We could have settled for that, for the lifts, what is called the, some device, automatic rescue device, which there's a power failure, it stops at one of the floors and opens and stays there, automatic rescue device. That was not there originally. And so they said they will incorporate it free for us. So these were the kind of packages that they offered to regularize those 8 flats. Now those could be regularized. Now they had gone beyond, you have approval sanction plan and you can go 5% beyond that. Okay. You can go 5% beyond that. Now with the penalty, they had 5, I think it's 5% beyond that. They had done that to pay the penalty also. Now,
so that means if there is a violation, we can ask some money from the builder as a compensation?
No, that is not legal. Now, there is the option of fighting them in the court, okay, which is a long run process. Now, in our case, there was this thing, okay, and though not everybody was very unhappy with Mantri or something like that, the only fact was they are making extra money out of us, okay. Now, okay, why don't we need them to discuss with them? They are offered, yeah, correct, talk with them. They were prepared for that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
There's been iteration here.
There's
been a lot of changes in the plans from what the original plan that was given, and later on what I have started here, there's been a lot of changes in the plan. Now they get it legalized. The builders will always get it legalized. For example, what I have heard is
you have the big extra, or is it a modification?
So what happened actually? This was an Antlia1. So it was a separate project.
Yeah.
And the next to it was a separate project.
Yeah.
So they combined it, called Antlia and Antlia.
Now that is where now the question of you are registered under what act? Under Apartment Ownership Act?
No, we have yet to register.
You haven't registered. Now see that's important. Now when this comes, when in this stage by stage development, what essentially now this, I don't know what new model law that is coming Delhi in this draft, that possibly will have provision for this. Now apparently what has to happen is when they declare Antlia1 and they have marked out the space for it. Now this space for Antlia has to be distributed amongst you. Okay. And then Antlia2, that space has to be distributed amongst them. Okay. So, and if there are some common things, it will not come under the ownership, it will be joint ownership of the associations of both these things. If there is something common for this.
So there was something like there were separate amenities for each
project. Now not just confident, everybody is doing it. Even Mantri, there is pride and Mantri next door to it, there is not this thing where this has happened. Now how unhappy or happy are you with it? I mean, depends on the degree of your unhappiness. If you want to challenge them, you can challenge it. But it's again a long-term process. Or do you want to compromise and arrive at some kind of a settlement? That is the question. Because one thing, see, there is another body, their body, CREDAI. CREDAI.
Have you approached CREDAI for any reason?
Who have I approached? Now you will see my blog. They are not very open. In fact, Mantri himself, Mr. Sunil Mantri, Sushil Mantri.
He's a member.
Okay, he is the president.
Okay, now he's the president.
Yeah. Okay, and see, plenty of them are very greedy and they want to make best of the situations. Okay, that is one thing. But largely, I will still blame the government for this. See, government does a proper job of putting the regulations together properly. They will abide by it and they will build quality jobs for you. Now, if the government doesn't do it, and these people then, they see an opportunity to make money and they do it. Okay, that is essentially now, CREDAI, you were asking, there are some originally in Kadai, you go to the Kadai website, there is a code of ethics. Okay, you click on code of ethics, it will take you to circles. Now, somebody from Praja actually did research and found out there was actually a code of ethics written. He pulled it out, okay, it's on Praja, you can see it. So in that they have put down everything what they should be doing. Now ultimately within Kadai there was a tussle. These people, they will name, what is that? DLF. They came and they right from beginning had listened to, again, see, I know that in Muralidhar Road there is a property which they first announced, they had announced the papers that it's going to be 25 floors or something like that. But sanction was only for 3 or 4 floors. That is because the road in front was only some 40 feet width or something like that, because of which, you cannot build, you can build only up to 4 floors. Now, but mind you, they had drawn up their plans and seen that they were so very confident that they would be able to drive their way through into getting the road widened. They did that. Okay. And the matter is in court now. Okay, now, see DLF, for instance, so they are unscrupulous. I don't like to use the word, but you see, unfortunately, the stupid laws of the country makes everybody unscrupulous. I will put it that way. So there is a desperate shortage of housing in Bangalore. Okay, they are serving that purpose. Now, if you facilitate, the government facilitate, they will do a proper job. No, but government doesn't facilitate. Okay, they have to go into all these things, and some of them will do it in the most unscrupulous way, some of them will do it in the more decent way. So you have all kinds. Now, that is when there was a tussle between DLF and some of the more decent members of the Kadai, and they objected to this code of ethics being on the website. They removed it. As simple as that. So I have been neatly in Kadai. You will see in you just Praja.in. There's a Google window put Kadai. You will see all the details. Okay. Now I have met Sushil Mantri personally. I have Sushil and his wife Snehal Mantri. I have sent links to these blogs and things like that. They are totally aware of it. But they themselves are caught up with with the bigger builders and with the politics within. And because of which they are not able to do anything. Now that is the state of it. Now there are some decent members in this thing. In fact, I am planning to meet them. This one, chartered housing, one Mr. Hegde. He is a prominent member in the scene, and I intended talking to him. Now, what we need to tell them is we appreciate that you are doing, and there is a need for you people. There is a demand for your services. But let us, between the lot of us, get all these things straightened out. Let us approach it in that way. And there are some decent politicians like Mr. Suresh Kumar and other people who, if we jointly approach, we can probably sort out many things. So that is the way we are.
Let us say, in a little technical matter, let us say we go and take the handover and we form association when we started running from our side. But if you see the larger campus, we are still committed for some of the things we should be able to get delivered by the builder.
Yeah.
And there may be something that after taking handover, something is creating problem or we want some more or something. So, how to account for them
now,
while taking the handover, so that we held them responsible. Okay, we are taking handover, but we are going by your commitment, and this is how we are formalizing, and you should not go back from this. How to handle that?
No, that is exactly the point I was making. Now, you have got a sanction plan and specifications and things like that. If it is not according to that, and if deviation from the sanction plan.
Deviation, but we are supposed to get some more
deliverables. Some of the deliverables are
still pending.
Will be handed.
Okay, now for instance, in Mantra class also, there was one, the word had been put as laundry, okay, in our basement. Now, laundry essentially meant, like, I think it is some of the issues, some of the NRIs, who had come back and settled down, their idea of a laundry was, full washing machines and all those things provided there. But here, what is provided a cubicle where there is an Iron Man standing there. So the word he used, laundry. Now these people, these NRI types are. Sorry to use the word. They started pinning him, pinning Mantri, you had provided laundry. Now that's unreasonable. So now, there are many things like this which you need to take a call. Okay, that is, you have to jointly decide which are the areas which you find actually there is, here short change, and those you must pursue. Now, the way to pursue is one could be, now he is desperate to sell Antlia 2, Antlia 3, he is going on advertising. So, blogs, okay, link the blogs to this thing, etc. See, when you write, if you put on in praja.in, if you put Antlia, there is this problem and things like that, it can become we may be taken to court. Okay. So, but in your individual blogs or something like that, and which you can put a blog in praja because we have wide reach now. And you can put your personal blogs and put it there. But there again, you can put it in Kavita Pond, Sarjapur Road, the complex whose name starts with C, all those kinds of things. Straight away almost pointing to this, but legally covered up in case he takes you to court. And the building with the black or the blue and white, this thing, etc., all those things you can say. Okay, and then point out this thing, which you can, you can get this mailing address of all these Godfriend 2, Godfriend 3 people and send it to them. Okay, somehow. And then you warn them that these are the things. Then he will come to you and tell you, okay, I will handle this. These are the ways of doing it.
But can we have a legal agreement with the builder?
Yeah.
Can we have a legal agreement with the builder if there is some issue on these things? Even after handover?
If he agrees, he can have a legal agreement. In fact, we are currently negotiating. Mind you, I told you about this, that the car park issue in Mantri Classic, it is 7 years and we are not settling. When I was the president, that first 3 years, I tried to reason with them. They say, no, many of them have all of this, and what lady, what particularly insisting on having a laundry. Okay. So my term got over, I said, okay, next people came along. In fact, in the original bylaws, I mean, anybody could have prolonged this thing, continue to be president for life. But I myself brought in an amendment where I said nobody should continue with this thing for more than 3 terms consecutively. Now I can contest again after a break or something like that. But then there are other people who have come into the picture. I am on Praja and things like that. Now these are the things you must make sure that when I told you about change of bylaws, these kinds of things can be done by the simple
amendments will be done.
Actually, we have already placed to confident. We have an agreement that these will be the things that will be delivered. And they are documented also. And I think
then you should
taking the signature. Right?
See, you should pressurize this.
Exploring this area, we can ask other questions that we have not placed to the builder.
Yeah, please ask.
Yeah, something like STP, we have STP, which is a standalone kind of, for us, it's a only revenue wasting thing. We run it, but we don't utilize the water.
You don't?
We don't utilize the water which is basically purified.
Okay.
Which is a purification process.
Okay.
That is utilized also.
No, and the water is let into?
Water is basically, they have built it in such a way that serves for 150 flats.
Yeah. And you are how many?
We are 89 flats.
Okay.
So right now, what is the problem? They have built it after the plan has been sanctioned.
Okay.
And then the government has imposed a rule that you should have at least either rainwater harvesting or STP in your premises.
Oh, it should be both. Okay.
It should be both.
Okay, it should be both in some areas, BDA or BBMP, but it's not true for the rural areas.
Okay.
Like such a, right? Okay, so they have built a STP. Now they have combined it with other building. That building uses STP.
That's in your premises.
Yeah, now it's Antlia, so that falls in the same premises.
It's combined this thing now.
Yeah, it's
Purpose.
1, 3 and 6 will be our combined project.
No, correct. No, originally when Antlia 1 came, if you you want to, go by the Apartment Ownership Act, and if
There was no STP in it.
there is no STP in it. But they will be in your space or they will be in your space. In your space.
Yeah.
That means the undivided share of land available to you reduces.
Yes.
That is a violation. That is
a gross violation. I mean,
that's
that's
unfortunate. Now,
okay, we are living with that because at some point of time,
yeah,
we have to have a rainwater harvesting and STP.
okay.
If not now, maybe sometime later.
Yes.
Right?
No, you said the capacity is 150.
150.
But the combined capacity of this is Antlia1
to more than 250.
So then how is that enough?
I think it has room to
So
increase it till
they are constructing one more STP in that space, and that will suffice for basically these two buildings.
So essentially, confident is combining all this into one.
Yeah. And the problem here is
That's a problem.
It's a big problem.
About the ownership itself.
Problem is, okay, that will be shared everything, but we don't have option to use that water in our building.
Now, it is it is functional.
It's functional.
And where is the water going?
To that building. To the other building.
That means the
And
STP.
what are they doing with that water? For construction.
That's right.
Okay. Now, what after the construction is over, what will happen to the water?
I think they can.
That's what we
The
don't
problem is the STP is built for all three projects over here, but the STP water can be used only for one apartment, not for the other.
No, currently they need it for construction. They are using it.
No, they have channels to use it for
No,
flushing.
essentially.
But that
You don't have it here?
No, we don't have it here. We have it only for that.
And not only that, they have in our 1 acre 17 kuntas, if you see the parking that they are extending, it's extended to our side. You can see the gas chamber, it has also, which means our undivided share is shrinking.
Yeah.
And I mean,
So have you measured and taken note of that? How much they are supposed to give, whether they have given that much or not?
No, see, now the government requirements change, and because of that, midway through this thing, they had to put in this, STP, which was not envisaged at that time. They should have, when the government this thing said that, they should have intimated that this is what we done, and because of which, unfortunately, though your flat size is going to be same, the undivided share is going to reduce. Actually, see, this undivided share, etc., is something that if you order one kind of knowledge somewhere there, it doesn't make much of a impact right now. 30 years later, 35 years later, or something like that, when you want to reconstruct, that is when this thing can arise. So, as long as it's not affecting your business, your ownership is still in the same ratio, and you have that STP, which is an asset, okay, which is a requirement. There should not be a problem. But now, since it caters to the needs of the same, now that becomes inequitable. Their requirements are being dumped here, and this is being the water is being given there. Now this you will have to come to some kind of a negotiation, because the law may not cover these kinds of things to the exact extent. So it has to be some kind of this in between 1, 2, 3.
Now the builder is saying, what I feel personally, it's not the builder who will decide 70% or 30% will be shared. I don't think he can decide.
70%, 30%?
So they are saying 70% will be owned by the expenses. So there are huge expenses every month that occur on the STP plan.
Yes, correct.
So
it's powered, isn't it? It's
electric.
motor.
Yeah, so it consumes almost like 45,000 rupees per month.
Oh.
Right? So that 45,000 currently, I mean, I don't know how they are projected and how they are, but they are saying that out of 45%, so 70%, which is roughly about 30,000 rupees, will be won by the Antlia1 project.
Correct. This is.
Yeah.
No, this you have to reason with them and
Exactly.
negotiate.
To my knowledge, builder cannot say that.
But
It has to be agreed between the owners.
Correct. Agree. Yeah.
completely.
Mm.
So who's going to make the decision?
No, currently it is all you are paying for it, and the water is being used by them.
We are not even worried about it.
No, no.
Currently, builder is maintaining it.
But we have to pay after association.
No, no. The 45,000 rupees you are paying.
No,
He is paying.
Not right.
No, it is later stage you are saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Later when they are occupied, between you will have a component agreement.
No, but that project is not occupied. That is not also sold.
No.
So the builder is the owner right now.
Yeah, builder.
Of that project. We have to, I mean, us, all 89 of
We have to
us.
assume that only.
No, no, no.
I will give it to you simply saying that this is the problem. We have sold 85% of that. Please approach them.
That is your problem. The rest of the unsold flat is yours.
What I am saying, if we can discuss on these kind of things and come up with a solution or come up with something which can change.
The problem will arise when the bill has to be paid by the residents.
Right.
Currently, it is being paid by the builder.
Exactly.
Correct? Now, that will you come to that phase when that is occupied. Am I right?
Yeah.
Or will come earlier. Now, whenever it comes, when you start, at that time you will have to tell him.
Earlier.
Okay, at that time you have to tell him, you are using so much of the water. You are not. If the water is being given to us, okay, then okay we will pay the full bill. But you are using the water, then we will have to share it on some kind of a proper proportion.
The best solution
That is how.
would be to keep the STP maintained by confident only till the entire entry
Correct.
is complete.
Right.
And by that time, we should be paying some money to them. We should come to the this kind
No,
of.
that's right. See, till this is complete, they should run it. Both the estates, okay, they should run it.
And the
See,
amount
that
of
will
money
be the
we
thing.
pay.
And once it is done, it has to be, once the project is done and they have moved out of it, then you must have a proper sharing formula according to your super bill your flat size in that proportion. In
And
that
the
proportion.
second thing is they have not provided us rainwater harvesting.
It is going to be mandatory in the next 5 years. Here
No, see, even we don't have it. Now, at the original time, when it was at the
I don't think they were
approval stage, at the occupancy stage, okay, in the occupancy certificate, did whoever issued the occupancy certificate, in our case it was BBMP, in this case I don't know if it was BDA or local BMR. Now, did they classify that, saying that, these kinds of things, conditions, saying that rainwater harvesting should be provided and things like that? Have they done that? You have a copy of the occupancy certificate.
So they haven't issued an occupancy certificate.
No occupancy certificate. Now, that is important. Occupancy certificate is required. You need to pursue the builder to give you the occupancy
Because they
certificate.
will be dodging that query for long.
No, now these are the kind of things, write a small little blog or something like that, which you should, publish it quietly so that all the future builders of buyers of confident 2, 3, and another, so many of them are all confident, they all become aware. At that time they will know that it has come from you, then they will come and negotiate.
I had called Credai.
Pardon?
They have a customer grievance cell in quotes.
The secretary and president play golf with me. I try to talk to them. They
So
don't.
what I told them that I discussed about occupancy certificate also, and I told them one of your member hasn't issued and refuses to answer our question.
What is it?
He said he invited me to come over and we'll sit across the table. He quizzed me.
What's his name?
He didn't give a name. He heads that customer grievance cell. Satish or Sanjeev or something. I mean something with S, I think.
I want to. If you have the phone number, give to me. I will also go on.
I might have it. And then he invited me over.
Oh,
so, yeah, and he quizzed me to name the builder. I said he's your member. He's a member of a Credai. So what?
I will name him. No problem. I will name enough of them. So you keep.
No, I'm keeping quiet till this process is kind of smooth.
I want to go meet Mr. Hegde. He's supposed to be amongst the, chartered housing. He is amongst the more decent of the builders. And hopefully, I told you there is nothing within them. Strengthen these people, Hegde and party. to, essentially what we're saying is, yes, there's a need for your buildings, crime needs, okay, and good buildings, okay, and because of which, let us all join together and straighten out many of the things which are wrong.
I'll give you the
That is
details probably after I return from my vacation. I'll give you the details.
So could you let us know what are the due diligences in terms of legal, asset and material wise?
Come again.
Any due diligences that you did while taking over?
No, I told you, we were as ignorant at that time while taking over as you are currently are, which is generally the case across the city. Now, through blogging and things like that, people are becoming aware. That is where now we have put very prominently this in Praja. Anybody who wants to buy a new property, you must ensure that it is registered. At the time itself, you must make sure that he is going to be registering under the Apartment Ownership Act, not under Societies Act, and these kinds of things that we have some kind of a checklist also we have drawn out there. Okay. And possibly see any set of people who want to buy a flat or something, buy in a complex. They should join together. The checklist is there. Get it writing in writing form. Will you be conforming to all this? Put a signature, put it on a letterhead, and which will become legal. And if he doesn't do it, yes, you can hold him. That is the kind of thing required.
Now, since we have already bought,
yeah.
Something which
now various negotiations and various things, that's about all we can do. Like, for instance, the occupancy certificate is something that is mandatory, and if he doesn't give it, you'll have to go on pressurizing him. If he doesn't do it, there are some lawyers. I can give you the name of one lawyer, but he'll cost. Okay, he's a good lawyer. This, that government law, that slum issue, read in the papers? Egypt. Now the person who represented those builders is a good lawyer. Okay, he doesn't charge too much also. He is my neighbor. I can put you, if you want, you can. If you want to start sending legal notices or legal advice on these kinds of matters, you can ask him. He's quite knowledgeable.
Once again, because last time when I spoke to
Ani and Joseph Maluk.
When I spoke to Confident last time, they said that all the other departments, although Antlia1 and all, they haven't issued such a certificate. That's the answer which I got. So probably we have to
we should demand because
Actually,
like you said,
Confident group was again all Malus. Put one Malu against the other.
I think after forming our association, or at least forming the structure, what is there on the agenda? Okay, you asked to form us, we have formed. Then you have to come to our town.
Now, see, in your case,
they should be the negotiating body who should be jotting down everything.
I agree, but what I see is association formation is just going to be a small one. But all these legal things which are coming in, all these non-compliances, that would be the huge cliff which
there is a tendency from confidence to saying that I will talk to only to the designated person. We have faced this kind of argument. That is the reason I think it is good to have a designated person and then give the responsibility to the designated person.
That's a way of doing it. See, you print a letterhead. Antlia1 resident owners welfare association or something like that. Now, this is something that you can possibly register under the Societies Act. Okay. This is a resident welfare association. They will, in fact, insist on the word welfare. Okay. Now, this will not have anything to do with the ownership of the apartment. That comes under the Apartment Ownership Act. This is largely if you want to go legal. First, don't do it any registration, just on the computer itself, you can write this thing and give an address and start off. Between yourself, you nominate one secretary, president, or whatever the case. Okay. Write that also. And then start using that for corresponding. That is the best way to start off. And if you want to go legal, then you have to register it under the society system. That is the for fighting, for essentially for taking a court battle.
80% of the members of CREDA doesn't encourage honest investment in the Apartment Owners Association.
80%. Now, see, even prominent members like Mantri are doing it under the Apartment Ownership Act. Okay, so why should confident and things like that be doing? That is where we need to, actually that is one of the things I am now pressurizing that that is what I have been doing through this blogging and things like that, and linking this blog and things like that. Pressurizing all of them to make sure, that they act, they conform to the act, that is it. What is it? Owners Act. Okay. Both are
1960, I think. 60 or
72, yeah. According to which they are required, the law enjoins on them to do it. Okay, subject this to the Apartment Ownership Act. Many of them confident, many of them are not doing it. There is a good friend of mine, Gopal group. Okay, he lives in this in Gopal. In yesterday's paper, there was one wall was demolished. Near
A wall was demolished.
Near Brookfield. Near Brookfield. Now, he was, I'll put you on him also, Sanjay Vijayaraghavan. Now, he is a member of our group and quite active. He is quite knowledgeable on the Apartment Ownership Act. In fact, there was a talk in Whitefield which he addressed along with Justice Reddy on this.
Yeah, he has written in Citizen Matters.
Citizen Matters, with Sanjay Vijayaraghavan. Now, he, like all of us, when we moved in, he was not aware of these things, etc. And that was also not registered under the Apartment Ownership Act. Then, when he took on the office under the welfare association, by then he saw my blog and then he got in touch with me. He understood, he did a deeper research. He's a doctorate in physics, something. Okay, engineering, exactly. So he did a research on this, and now he's an authority on this matter. Together we had gone and met Minister Suresh Kumar also. Now, in his complex, now he did this exercise of registering under the Apartment Ownership Act because the owner hadn't done it. I don't know to what extent he has reached. It's a difficult exercise. Okay, now, but he is currently at it. You can check with him.
Okay, and also,
touch base with him and check with him as to what the progress is.
Also, there is a little debate on verification of the ownership.
The land.
No, not land. For any owners to be a part of the voting process or to get nominated, how did you all go about
No, that isn't the sale deed.
So sale deed that
That's the sale deed. That's the sale deed.
At the time of formation, we'll have to verify the
Yeah.
Yeah. No, everybody gets a copy of the sale deed to the association.
entire copy or couple of pages?
Oh, that page is one page. One relevant page.
Or do we have to give the first
Because the
page?
rest is common for them.
Yeah.
First page and the signature page and and the back page. I think they have the.
If you want to verify those things, you can have all that. Otherwise, if you just the name, whether they say that is always that is required. If you think it is forged, you can ask for to verify against the
Because he
original.
spoke about it's getting. I mean, this can be forged.
Yeah.
Since today's digital world where we can make pictures on any kind
Morph,
I think the first page and the page where we have the sub-register stamp and the photo and the fingerprint. That particular page and the third page.
You can do one exercise, ask everybody to give it, and one day have a camp where everybody takes a original and verify against it.
Makes sense.
So that it doesn't appear as if you are targeting anybody. So everybody has to verify. Yeah, everybody is not.
Not like that.
you verify physically verified.
Physically. Yeah.
That is also possible.
No, for that, all that thing first.
Everyone was waiting for tenants while leaving the parking sticker. I just saw that owners stayed in their whatever something else. Rental agreement, but I get the parking sticker.
Copy of the sale deed with the
Sale
application.
of the
Copy of the sale deed with the application.
association.
No, as long as you have verified and approved it. Why you want to keep duplicate documents in your Keep a master list. You master list after verification, on which you are collectively formed as an association or something like that. 3 of the office bearers sign it. that becomes the Pakka document for all future business.
What about the outstation owners?
Pardon?
Outstation owners.
You have to get it from them. You have to get in touch with them and get it from them. Okay. I'm sure as and when new buyers come in, you have to do that exercise. You have to do it periodically.
And also outstation owners who can't come for something, they can give power of
Proxy, power of attorney proxy.
Say one person.
There's a simple proxy form.
Maybe some
Now,
relative if they're staying here can bring.
Oh, no, or they can give it to one of the owners here,
Yeah.
whom they know,
That's
and
right.
they can
Proxy.
represent them. So that saves a lot of time.
Proxy. Yeah. Now, proxy again, you have to make sure it's not forged.
Yeah. Because look, that can again be dumped on.
See, you have a people to be eligible for citizens.
Yeah, we have.
Then, see, anybody tries any of these things, you just start neatly through that.
There's one unrelated question.
Yeah.
In your apartment monthly, how is the common area and amenity registered? Is it registered to your association or is it still handled?
No, see, all the common areas come under this thing, that is where I'm telling you, Apartment Ownership Act covers all that.
And so you will be, your residents association will be empowered?
Yes, we are the owners of it.
Okay. But in this particular apartment, the sale agreement which we put has a clause stating that the common areas and the amenity, which includes the clubhouse, the walkways, the parking,
Not, I don't think the common area, only the area.
common areas.
We have
They put categorically that they can come under the ownership of confident groups.
They come under in the ownership of it. Oh, that's wrong. See, this is exactly what is wrong about the, not subjecting me to Apartment Ownership Act.
Because in the recent case of NRT subsidy, even if it is there in the constitution, they can not.
Yes, there you are. Now, NRT subsidy is a big thing. No, are you all in touch with the civil society background now? Dr. Ashwin Mahesh and things like that, are you all having voting? Are you registered as voters? No? Why not?
We are still fighting. We have given our forms, submitted our forms, but
I know, that's another
No,
matter which I am fighting. The problem is that election commission, state election commission, NIC, they are a bunch of jokers.
So, again, coming back to this particular one, does it automatically get killed that particular?
Yes, if you subject it to the Apartment Ownership Act, all these things get solved automatically.
and we should insist that it gets registered.
How can, see, say 5 years down the line, and he has finished all this thing and he moves out of it, he still wants that? What nonsense?
That's right.
no, so I think nobody cares. Maintaining.
Now, see, there are instances like this, other farm meadows also. Other farm meadows. Okay, the clubhouse, they have separated out and they have given membership of the clubhouse to the members of the public also. Now, that may be the same. Now,
CJ Roy, he said it's only for, he told us. He
no,
said,
telling is one thing, but later he can, unless it is in the distance, he can open it out. His chelas will come and start drinking there and holding political parties and things like that.
So that's what the document says. So somehow, if Anish says it's right, then probably if it gets killed, that is okay. But if it continues as it is, then it is in the
If you
ownership.
follow this Apartment Owners Act, then it's like it's okay.
Then
Make sure
Yeah.
that we have to.
Yeah, we have to negotiate on that front.
Yeah.
Our rights are protected.
and very important is when the bylaws are being framed, we have to categorically mention in one of the clause that no public will be given accessibility to the club.
Police one say that.
No, wait, I'll tell you that specifically. I'll tell you.
If the area gets bigger than some certain, I don't have any idea.
Non-resident public.
Yeah, you have to provide access to one to the other.
There is
One to the other.
Recently, there has been a problem with crystal quartz. There was no thoroughfare allowed through the compound, and it was a huge compound. And some villager on the other side, they had lost their complaint, and BMRDA had forced them to open up another gate to the other side.
That is, see, that's a listing of gated communities. These are all gated communities. Now, there is no missing provision for this in the law apparently. Now, this is something, it can be challenged, I don't know.
It can be challenged.
Now, they will say, originally there was one path, the villagers can say, go access our village there. Now this building has come and they have blocked our this.
So we are good in shape because we have a road which basically goes that way. We are good.
So that is the reason why I said when we are negotiating, they shouldn't be selling membership to public.
No, wait a minute.
Basically, I have seen, there was a police complaint lodged by a GE employee. What happened, if you go from here, and there is a, what is that? People take basically the Borewell Road. So Borewell Road, if you go on Borewell Road, continue, you will get up to close to Whitefield Police Station. There have been instances when these guys have filed a complaint to the police saying that please disallow this traffic. And there was an incident that somebody was banned, his car was broken, and when he approached police said they can't help him because those guys have already filed a complaint saying that this is not a public road where all the vehicles can go. So there have been, if people tomorrow say you have to give us a way from crossing this road to that road, then it's a government call. Nobody can basically help with that.
Now that is exactly what happened in Muralidhar City. Yeah. And again, I think this thing, I told you this, Sanjay Vijay Rao is saying that Gopalan, that particular thing, development also, it's the same issue. See, it can happen in our case also. In fact, I tried that in Mantri Classic also. There are set of apartments and things like that behind us. There was no proper access to them. There was some footpath or something like that. Okay, and then some circuits. Now, when this got constructed, that footpath got closed. Some people there, provoked by various invested interest groups, etc., filed a some petition somewhere with BBMP, then it should open and this thing through Mantri class. Now, that lands you in trouble. Legally it's still a grey area. Okay, somebody. Pardon?
Brigade Millennium is another example. There is a public road going back in the middle of the apartment complex. So
now, even earlier, those times ITI, HMD, you see, those are all, even now, ITI, the ITI property, the national highway passes through ITI property. Okay, and I think on the 31st December, for 5 minutes or something like that, earlier, they used to, as required by the auditors, they used to close the gate for 5 minutes, not gate, some ribbon or something like that, they do this thing. And that is they are establishing their claim to those things. So that this thing, as required by the auditors, because it's a public limited company, and because this thing statutorily was required by them to do that, they should do that physically, that exercise. Establish their right over the property. So they should close for 5 minutes at both ends. So now you see those times, these kinds of things were allowed, but the public was allowed right through the property. So this is what the argument is. But that was the case here also. You cannot have this private enclaves. You should allow the public the right of way through your property. Now that is the grey area. There will be enough and fights over that if anybody pursues it. In fact, the biggest fight will be in Adarsh Meadows because the area is huge. Okay, there will be enough and more fights. I don't think we need to bother too much about that. Compared to our things, the properties are much smaller. I don't think we have those kinds of issues. Now, essentially, what you need to do is quickly form a letterhead association and represent to them to repeatedly. That is one thing. Speak to CREDI and pressurize them. Start various ways of needling confident and get your work.
Yeah, at the end of bottom line is negotiate with them. Make sure that they give you
legal processes are extremely slow. Now, that again, just day before yesterday there was an article in the newspaper where the Supreme Court has said that these adjournments, okay, given for all frivolous reasons, should be banned totally. Which is a fantastic judgment that the Justice Jain and Justice Kehar have. Saying you should be day first. And if that happens, the courts are cluttered with cases. I myself have a certain case, money owing to me. I used to be in the industry. Some 10 years back, some 10 lakhs is still due to me from a customer who is in Kolkata. I mean, the Karnataka court, after 5 years and 10 months, it was an open shut case, as you say. He ruled that he should pay it. This guy didn't pay it, so now I have to file an execution case in Kolkata High Court to pursue payment. Now look at it, and he is managing to bribe the court clerks and things like that and carrying it on, and it is getting adjourned. Now I have engaged a high-profile lawyer, which will cost me. Ultimately, what I get will be paid off through the, though there is a clause that you should pay with interest. Interest is just 6%. But the cost of money is far higher. Now, these are kind of things, if you go the legal way, currently it's a nightmare. So, I would advise, I would negotiate and, you see, they are after all in business. They are business people. If their business gets affected, then they will, see, that's the market forces, ultimately will what they say. So, in various ways, bother them that way.
Another thing in association formation processes and everything, who should be involved? Tenants also should be
Now,
involved.
first, under the Apartment Ownership Act, and the other act, whatever, Women's Act or something like that. Now, they should facilitate formation of the association. In fact, in Matriculas, they did that. In fact, one other gentleman was amongst the people who bought the flats. They found one person who was talking a little louder than the rest or something like that. They asked him if he would like to become the president. He agreed to it, elderly gentleman, older than me also. And they said, okay, you are the president. Now, see, that's fair enough. What he
That's giving
now,
builders a upper hand.
Pardon?
That's giving builders the...
No. See, at that stage, the buyers are not known to each other. Now, in our case, there was one person who brought the buyers together. Even before occupation, this man started a Yahoo and we started interacting with each other. So, we were aware of the goings on. And then this gentleman was invited, this one doctor was invited by Mantri, because they thought amongst a lot of people he appeared knowledgeable or he appeared, respectable, whatever it is, and they suggested to him, we agreed, fine, nobody had an issue with it, and he was listening, and somebody else was co-opted and formed a society. But down the line, a few months, we started interacting and things like that, and then we found that he was only a doctor, and about many of the things he didn't have enough of that knowledge. And in these kinds of deliberations, I took active interest, and they saw that I had experiences in the RWA leasing, etc. They all jointly said, yes, unanimously, you should take over. The doctor agreed readily, and I became the president from there on. So that is okay process. See, because that's it, they don't know who it is. Now between you decide, who are the people who appear knowledgeable or something like that.
No, what I'm asking about the ownership. Do we include the non-owners also?
In the not to voting. Not to voting.
Because even in the Karnataka Apartment Registration Act, I haven't read it. Apartment ownership.
Yeah.
I haven't contemplated every little clause and everything.
No, only the owners can.
Only the owners. That is we had a debate about this.
No, but see, even the lessees, the people who are come on rent, they can participate in the activities, but when it comes to voting, only the owners can.
And when it during annual general meeting, what I have also read, I read the clauses in our department. In annual general meeting, most of the lessees are not invited, in general meeting, in just open meeting, they are invited.
Right.
Their voice is heard, but those voices are not recorded in the MOM.
Yeah.
But if,
No,
if everyone feels that what is being said is correct,
no,
then
exactly. See, there may be some, lessees. What's the other word for it?
Tenants.
Tenants, okay, yeah. Tenants who, who could be active and could contribute to large and they may also see they like the place and interesting yourself. They may be looking for something to vacate or something to buy. If you find those things, you must involve.
And also somebody among the tenants, they could be very good in something and help out with the children or the cultural activities.
Certainly.
What about if I'm not here and I'm trusting somebody for giving some
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many of our owners who are across the world. We are in touch with them and get the proxies when necessary anywhere. So that is the way to go. And before we conclude, you must all register as voters. Okay, if you are taken that decision, it's a painful process. But Dr. Ashwin Mahesh, you have heard?
Yeah.
You have heard. No other sir. Okay. He is a professor at IIM. Okay, and he's in his 30s only, maybe just getting to 40. He is standing for elections in the what constituency? Somewhere there, South Bank. He lives in L&D, South City. Okay. And he is one of the former members of Lok Sabha Karnataka. I am also a member of Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha, Dr. Jayaprakash Narayan. I think now it's time. I mean, you all involve yourself. After all,
Lok Sabha is not contributed.
Lok Sabha is a newspaper in Maharashtra.
And Jayaprakash Narayan's.
Which Jayaprakash Narayan? There was the original Jayaprakash Narayan who died. Who unseated Indira Gandhi. That is Lokmanya Jayaprakash Narayan.
Yeah.
He is dead and gone. Okay. And whose followers were people, all the politicians, Lalu Prasad Yadav, Layam Singh Yadav, though they were all idealists in those times, what they have eventually developed is something different. Now, this Jayaprakash Narayan, he was an IAS officer at the time. Now, retired, he took early retirement. He was an IAS officer. He was a cabinet secretary in Andhra Pradesh government. He idealist, so he said being the IAS is not going to take me any far, so he quit. And he formed Lok Sabha as an NGO. For 5 years, he ran as an NGO, did commendable work. Even during IAS, he did commendable work. It's all there on record. And then at the end of 5 years, running it as an NGO, he decided even, there is a limit to what you can do as an NGO. And in an electoral democracy, you have no option other than to enter into the thick of politics. So, politics has got to be seen and tainted as a dirty word. But that is because of the dirty people in it. And we need to get the right kind of people into it. And for that, you all have a responsibility. So that is some exceptions. Because, see, earlier times, when I was a youngster, everybody's aspiration was to go to USA or Australia, UK or wherever, not run away from India. But today, all those economies are all on the decline, and the future is here. So the future of your children is going to be in India, and for that you want to create the right kind of a climate. So you owe it all to the future generations. Okay, that's the spirit with which I approach, because my children are your age. Okay, and I need to try and because I don't have too far to go. Okay, and I can say I will relax. Okay, what is there for me? But I owe it to the future generation. Likewise, you all need to slowly get into that kind of a. I guess many of your fathers already, right? So, with that spirit, you need to get into the thick of politics. Don't get into the thick of it, at least be aware, vote. And the other thing is, once you have elected a representative, don't leave him till the next 5 years. Engage with him. Make sure he performs.
As a PS, the voting window will open again in February. If you have not applied, please apply.
That's the other unfortunate part of it. This electoral, preparation and maintenance of the voter list is a sick process. Ashwin Mahesh and one Commander Bhatt, they have got a PI saying that it should be redone. Now, I have been telling them more than, if they redo it, it's the same set of jokers who are going to be redoing it, it's the same kind of mistakes you're going to have. So there is no point. It has to be entrusted to a professional agency. Like in the case of income tax, all the back end work is being done by Infosys. In the case of passport, all the back end work is being done by TCS. Likewise, in this case also, you should have had it over to a professional agency. Now, that is again, if you go to Muralidhar Rao Founding, now come on, first in this process, first come on to Muralidhar Rao Founding, look at all the debates, any other thing that interests you, go through it, browse through it, and start. Get into the process. You see, this is why we started Project Handover. You see, I was involved in all the Resident Association and various things. Whatever there is in Bangalore, I am there in it. Now, but for each of these, when you go for physical meetings, it's quite tiring, and the traffic conditions in Bangalore, etc., are impossible to manage. Now, here, this is a platform for virtual hall for debates. That's how we do it. So you don't have to go physically. You have got your careers to pursue, you've got your family to look after, you don't have time to go on. But you can express your voice, you can vote, you can campaign all these things through the net today. So come on. And that is what Project Handover is all about. We have won about 3-4 awards in the last years. We are moving into making it a little more forceful. Project Handover, if you want my card, anybody, yeah.
I'll show you the construction, and then you have to take your word back.
If I leave it here, it will fall.
It's Anish. Anish,
I will give it to you.
Okay, all the best to you all.
Thanks, Akka.
My pleasure. Yeah. So who's going to be the president of the association? But you need to.
we have 3 sessions here. Session, TN session. Number 1, number 2.
Good.
So we are out of time.
You are.
And that's all. So we are out of
No, you need to take ownership. You need to take ownership. You can't need to take ownership.
Attendance.
Any more questions?